Good morning, America, and all across the globe. Welcome to our morning edition of the Pick Six, where we talk football and all things related to the sport, the wonderful sport it is. It's a wonderful morning. I am joined here by my esteemed colleague, James Stewart, on our beautiful show here. James, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
The Pick Six. It's great to have you on. I'm sure all of our illustrious fans would like to know a little bit about you. Tell me what makes you tick, who are you as a person, and where do your true sports fanhood, where does that lie? I mean, because we're allowed to be a little bit biased here.
For sure.
on Bruce
and
Sports.
I know you're a Bills fan. So.
I am. You can tell by some of our beautiful items here on set.
I walk in and that's
the first thing you say. I grab my Tyrod Taylor jersey out of my trunk. Yes, absolutely.
Well, Packer fan. Basically all Wisconsin sports fan.
It's hard to find some Packers fans on Bruce Sports.
I know, right?
That's for sure. Yeah.
But grew up in Wisconsin, so real homer.
Real homer.
For sure.
That's all right.
Defend them, and
it's easy to root for a team.
I'll try
like
to
the
be
Packers,
honest, but
unless you're from Chicago,
I'll be a little bit biased.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, that's good. That's good. We're excited to have you on. We're excited to see where you can help take this show. But we have some good things planned for today, some fun segments. We're going to be talking some free agency later on with Greg Schwartz, if we can get him on the line. DeMarcus Ware, we'll talk about whether or not he is worthy of a first ballot Hall of Fame. And apparently there's some players out there that don't necessarily love football, but they're making millions of dollars, so we will debate on that topic as well. But first off, on our show, the Pick Six today, I wanted to try out a new segment called Cross the Line, where we debate whether or not certain players and or things crossed a certain line. So there is some interesting stuff out there right now. We will start with Ezekiel Elliott making the news again for some not so great reasons. This time, however, he is not. Well, he's getting in trouble with the NFL, and we'll see how far that actually goes. But as we all know, St. Paddy's Day, the parades and all the fun stuff was this past weekend. And Ezekiel Elliott partied a little too hard, which isn't the worst thing, but you can see here in this video here from TMZ Sports, he decides to get a little handsy with one of his friends and or colleagues. So, I don't know what, when you're drinking on St. Paddy's Day, I mean, I've been going to Chicago for the St. Paddy's Day with the same group of guys for the last 7 years, and it's a crazy party each and every year for a different reason.
Things tend to get out of hand.
When you're indulging a little bit, you tend to make some poor decisions. People always say that the first thing to go when you're drinking is your judgment. Right. And Ezekiel Elliott, I would assume he was probably drinking a little bit. So I don't know what was going through his mind. And he just saw an opportunity and he took it. But did Ezekiel Elliott cross a line?
I mean, first thing, let's just take out let's just take the girl out of it.
Okay.
Let's just look at Ezekiel Elliott first.
Okay.
You're an NFL player.
Yeah.
There's cameras on you at all times.
You're making
you may not see them, but they're there. Mm-hmm. People are looking
for you,
looking to get that shot right there.
And they got it. And TMZ Sports is like, yes.
So
Thank
aside
God.
from basically pulling down that girl. Sure.
That's exactly what he did.
Aside from that, he's got to be smart enough to know that you can't do those things.
When you're making millions of dollars and you're getting paid to do what I would hope you would love, and maybe we could talk about whether or not Ezekiel Elliott loves this later on, but
right.
Ezekiel Elliott has it in his contract, I would assume, that you have to represent. I mean, it's like when you sign up for a company, if you're like a social media guy.
Right.
You have to uphold a certain standard on social media. And if you're in the NFL, not only is it an NFL regulation, but I'm sure the teams themselves have their individual things where it's like, hey, you can say this and you can't say this. So he has to know. He has to think about that. Did he cross a line? Probably. Should he be getting fined by the NFL? I don't know. We'll see where that goes. He's probably going to get a long talk with Jerry Jones down south.
And, I mean, we don't know the relationship between him and
this girl.
It doesn't play well on video at all.
No.
It doesn't look like
it's not
something
good.
that she necessarily wanted. She does try to cover up right away.
Yes.
So, I mean, that in itself is an issue, especially, we just had Women's Day, and
Yep.
all this is playing out.
Literally like the day before.
It's not a good look.
No, it's not a good look. And Ezekiel Elliott has made a name for himself in the news for a not-so-great look before. Did Ezekiel Elliott cross the line? I'm going to say yes. Did Ezekiel Elliott cross the line here?
Definitely.
Yes. I don't think he's probably far over the line. There is a certain level of privacy, obviously, but for NFL players that they would wish they would have. Marshawn Lynch is a perfect example of that.
Right.
He just, he wanted his privacy, and I'm totally okay with that. But if you're going to pull down a girl's shirt, gosh darn it, do it in your own residence.
Right.
Do not go out on a float for St. Patty's Day and make a move like that. Absolutely not. So he crossed the line. I'm going to say yes. We'll see what the NFL decides to do with that moving forward. On the flip side, however, I want to talk about the NFL. The NFL has a lawsuit with some retired players right now talking about pain medications and whether or not they crossed a line in regards to overusing, using illegitimately, and in some cases they injected certain players without telling them what it was that they were actually injecting them with. So the NFL is getting sued by all these retired players, and they're arguing long-term effects on the players themselves because of the NFL. And I want to know whether or not the NFL was purposely hiding this, but did the NFL cross a line here with the pain medications?
I mean, it looks like we're finding out that a lot of guidelines weren't followed as far as the concussions.
Right.
We went through all that.
We hear about it all the time
with the painkillers, and part of it is guys are taking these because
puts them back on the field.
Yeah, they feel like they don't have a choice. They don't have guaranteed contracts. They have to be on the field to get paid.
You don't know how long you're going to be in the league, so
right.
You got to, especially in contract years. You see guys who get the franchise tag, and that's a whole other debate in itself, whether or not that's a good thing for the players. But you see guys who are in contract years where they need to be on the field.
Right.
And if they're not, they're losing potential future money. So getting pumped with painkillers left and right, it's affecting the chemistry of your brain. And, I hear it all the time for, older retired players where they're just addicted to painkillers.
Right.
And there was a study done a while back basically stating that some of these teams were providing pain medications in places that weren't official NFL regulated locations. So Bud Carpenter, the Buffalo Bills longtime trainer, I talked about this yesterday, but I'll bring it up again. He admitted under oath that he witnessed team doctors give players injections of prescription medications without telling them what the drug was that they were receiving or its side effects. He also testified that doctors provided prescription medications at places other than where they were allowed to do so in violation of federal and state laws. Now, this isn't just one team. This is happening all over the league, and I don't know if it's the NFL itself that needs to crack down on this. I think it is. But the teams need to be responsible from an individual level, and where do you draw the line when it comes to how many of these painkillers you can give to these players without really affecting them from a long-term health standpoint?
I mean, it seems it's the almighty dollar again taking over and pressuring. You want your stars on the field, so pressuring these guys to give this medicine, pressuring these guys to take this medicine. But you're seeing now that it seems players, and maybe it's led by former players, are taking more responsibility for their future. I mean, you're seeing guys drop out earlier. You're seeing guys who are deciding, I'm done. I don't want to risk the long-term health. So to me, it seems like it probably was done overboard. But it's going to take all this attention and all this media to kind of rectify that. I mean, the players are the ones ultimately who have to decide what they want for their future.
Yes, I think you're right there. I think the players do go up to trainers and say, hey,
right.
I have a stent in my elbow. Like, I can't hold the ball if, my elbow's stiff.
Right.
And all it takes is a quick muscle relaxer injection in the elbow, and they're back on the field the next play. I always go back to LaShawn McCoy last season. It was around week 5. I forget who we were playing or who the Bills were playing, but LaShawn McCoy takes a shoulder right to the side of his knee on a cut. And I swear his knee moved like 5 inches in a bad direction, and I thought his season was over. he gets carted off into the locker room. 5 minutes later, he's back out on the field running sprints. And I'm sitting there like, this is literally not possible. How many drugs did they throw? Like, it's almost like they got to take guys in the locker room to do it in secret. Like, the public doesn't want to know. They don't want the public to know. But then all these guys are coming out after the fact and saying it's the same thing with the concussion protocol.
Right, exactly.
With the concussion. So I can see this moving further into the public and into a debate. Roger Goodell has another problem on his hands that he needs to deal with, so we'll see where he takes it. But two things: did the NFL cross the line, and did the players cross the line here?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think that ultimately both sides are going to have to take a little bit of responsibility. Definitely, the NFL may hold a little more responsibility, but the players definitely also have to decide. You know, you're deciding to take these. You know, so then you need to get the information that you need. You need to ask questions. You need to know what medicine they're giving me, what's in the needle, or whatever it is. You know, they need to understand too that they hold some responsibility in this.
I agree completely. I am going to say I think on all fronts, everybody is over the line. From the NFL to Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell finds himself crossing the line all the time. But from the NFL all the way up at the top to down to the players and the individual organizations themselves, I really think that that is something that needs to be addressed. And it's definitely, I mean, it's going to affect the game. When they start addressing the painkillers, the problem with the painkillers, it's going to affect who's on the field. And the fans are going to be upset, but they just need to keep looking back at the fact, like, we're keeping these players safe, and they may be in the league longer.
Right.
And they're not going to go crazy when they turn 50.
Done that. I mean,
exactly.
You have guys that are forced to sit out games, guys that, I mean, you look at, for the Packers, Sam Shields, where concussion basically ended his season, and maybe his career.
Injuries end careers all the time, but the concussion is a whole other debate in itself about what we can do to protect the players and how do we stay away from the ultimate endpoint where we eliminate concussions altogether and turn it into flag football, which we don't necessarily want to do.
I mean, it's not going to happen.
Yes, so Jeff Scheibe on Facebook says, hello, he's a jerk. I don't know who Jeff's talking about, but Jeff, if you'd like to elaborate, that's fine. Jeff's my one of our constant viewers who tells me to drink all the time.
Well, I'm the new guy here.
You're
so
the new guy.
Talking about me.
Yeah, maybe. I hope not. We like having James on the show. Chris on Facebook says Jay Stu is in the house. Indeed, he is. It's good to have him on here. And Marissa, who I imagine is.
That's my wife.
That's your wife?
Yes,
your wife's watching. Marissa, I'm sorry. It's 10 minutes into the show, and I've already screwed up. Yes, I get one. Okay. Okay. But yes, so feel free.
She won't forgive you after that, though.
Feel free to comment, share, tell all your friends. James is on the show with us today, and we're having fun. So in just a moment, we will have Greg Schwartz on the line to talk some free agency and the best and worst moves of the free agent season so far. So we'll move into that. Ezekiel Elliott crossed the line. The NFL crossed the line. The individual players crossed the line. And the teams themselves crossed the line. That is a fun segment that we will do, hopefully. I don't think it'll be hard to find topics to talk about in regards to people crossing the line in the NFL. It happens quite regularly. But as I am told, we have our esteemed colleague Greg Schwartz on the line with us, one of our NFL correspondents. Greg, good morning. How are you today? And welcome to our Tuesday edition of the Pick Six.
Good morning, and apparently winter has struck again in the Midwest.
That it has.
Fortunately, I'm south enough that didn't really get hit bad, but feel bad for you folks up north there.
Yeah, you know, I woke up late today. Yesterday, thankfully this show wasn't yesterday. I don't have to be in the studio until 10 o'clock on Mondays, and I spent probably 2.5 hours shoveling a small driveway in West Dallas, Wisconsin. And thankfully I didn't have to do that this morning, because if I would have had to wake my girlfriend up, she would have been very upset. The first thing she did when I got here was she texted me and asked me, well, almost in like all caps, she said, "You left already? Did you shovel?" And I was like, no, I wouldn't have, but I didn't have to, thank God. But yes, so apparently It was 70 degrees like 2 weeks ago, and
Yes.
we get like a foot and a half of snow in 24 hours, so it's ridiculous.
I just tried to drive out of it, but it didn't work, so ultimately I had to show up.
Oh my gosh, there was plenty of parking here yesterday though. Didn't have a problem with parking. The lot was pretty much clear. So, but Greg, it's great to have you on today. As always, it's always a pleasure. But I know you're probably sick about talking free agency at this point, but there's still some questions that need to be answered, and I frankly want to know. I guess we'll start off with the three people who I really need to know what the H is going to happen. Eddie Lacy, Tony Romo, and Adrian Peterson, three big names. We can get into Dante Hightower. There's a lot of big names in free agency, but people want to know what's going on with Eddie Lacy, Tony Romo, and AP. Is Tony Romo going to be an analyst on a sports network? Is Adrian Peterson going to go back to Minnesota or wherever? And Eddie Lacy, is he going to drop 20 pounds and get signed by any team that's looking for a decent running back or fullback? What do you think there?
First of all, I'm not sick of this because it's just like Christmas. You keep finding new gifts to open and see the new toys and play with them a little bit. I'm gonna start with Tony Romo first because it's a different case than the other guys you mentioned. The first issue is Dallas needs to figure out what they want to do, and I guess that falls in the lap of Jerry Jones. Are you going to cut him loose? Or are you going to trade him? And once Jerry comes to that conclusion one way or the other, I think then we'll actually get to see the movement. I still think at the end of the day, he's going to wind up in Houston, and that just because the fit is so strong there. You brought up the TV analyst role. I don't think he's ready for that. I do think Tony thinks that he still has some game left to play. And so saying that, I think he will have a new address and he will be on the football field this season. But, Jerry has to decide what he wants to do. And I think from what I'm hearing, Tony's getting really antsy about it.
It's almost, when you think about it, the Tony Romo-Jerry Jones relationship is stifling when it comes to owner, top considered elite player at one point in his career, but is Jerry Jones, I guess I can go back to this, is Jerry Jones crossing the line? Because it's obviously playing into some confusion here with the relationship between Tony Romo and the Cowboys and the fan base themselves, but it's almost like he's breaking up with an ex-girlfriend, but he's still hanging out with her, taking her to dinner.
Oh, that's the great analogy. I think, he just can't let go. The Tony Romo has been his not just franchise quarterback, but face of the franchise for so long that it just feels like he's, cutting off an arm or something to let go of Tony. So at the end of the day, I know the business is one thing, but he's got to cut him loose.
I think you're right there. I really do think you're right. It's time to let go of Tony Romo. You have the next franchise quarterback already in Dak Prescott, and that's a blessing in and of itself. It's not easy to find. I mean, the Packers did it going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. The Patriots did it essentially going from Drew Bledsoe to Tom Brady. And some teams haven't had a quarterback in about 20 years, like the Bills. So it's not an easy thing to come by, but you do ultimately have to let Tony Romo go. Who knows what he'll end up doing? Maybe this is all for naught, and he'll just end up staying as a backup on the Cowboys, which is definitely a possibility. But let's move on to Eddie Lacy. He's had some issues in the league over the last couple seasons with his weight and whether or not he can stay in shape. But he has also been successful at times. Will a team take a chance on a guy like Eddie Lacy?
The problem with Eddie Lacy is there's a pack of, and I wrote down 4 names that are legitimate starting capable running backs in this NFL that are free agents. And they're all visiting the same handful of teams. So it's a market type of situation of supply and demand where you have only a handful of spots looking for at least starter capable running backs. And these, you got a potential Hall of Famer in AP. Jamal Charles, people forget about.
That's right.
In the marketplace. Latavius Murray, for my money, is the best of the lot, and he's still struggling to find a fit so far, or a home at least. And on top of that, you have a very, very strong, one of the strongest draft classes of running backs that we've had in a long time. I mean, we went a few first rounds without any running backs being selected, and now there's potentially 3 or 4 that could go just in the first round. So the big issue for Eddie Lacy is, for one thing, and it's true with the other with AP and the other guys, swallowing the pride of you're not going to get the big contract that maybe you thought you would. But on top of that, since there's been so little movement in the running back market, I think the teams, and we're talking about Seattle, we're talking about Minnesota, Green Bay, the Giants potentially, can kind of sit back and let the prices keep dropping, and then finally say, okay, we'll take you for 1 year for $4 million or whatever. So I think Eddie Lacy will find a home. I think all these guys will be, with the possible exception of Jamal Charles because of where he is in his career and the injuries he's had. But are you going to accept a backup role or a time shift or a timeshare role rather, or what sacrifices is a guy like Eddie Lacy going to make to be able to sign a contract?
I think that's the real question. Are these guys willing to do a split?
Are they willing to put in the work too?
Because you look at how many real bell cow running backs do we really have?
Mm-hmm.
There's not that many. I mean, maybe Ezekiel Elliott brings back the trend, but you look at the Patriots, running back by committee,
and they switch their running backs all the time.
Right. Your 2 Super Bowl teams, running back by committee. Yeah, Devontae Freeman may lead the way, but Tevin Campbell's not a bum.
That always brings me back to the fact that we are a passing league, but in a league that's starving for quarterbacks, teams are almost being forced to build around a running back core, which almost makes these free agents even more so interesting. I mean, the Bills just built up an offensive line because they're not really sure what's going on with the quarterback, and they pretty much signed every free agent fullback in the league, even though the fullback position's dying breed, just to protect their running game because they know that that's all they got. And if they're going to win, that's what they're going to have to do. But do you think it's a possibility? They always say history repeats itself, but Craig, do you think it's a possibility that this league may be turning back towards a running first league once we get through here?
You look at how some of these young quarterbacks that were drafted and the hype that came with them, and they haven't lived up to the hype. And part of that is with colleges insisting on running this spread offense, and the quarterbacks not working out of a under center situation. That I think running back is becoming more valuable again. I totally agree with that. You brought up Zeke Elliott. I also bring up the guy that I call Jay Howe in Chicago, who was second in rushing behind Zeke Elliott. So rookies going 1-2. Bell cow, might not be what we had in the past, but because those guys get banged up so much, but I think you will start seeing featured running backs quite a bit more now, yeah.
I think so. It's going to be interesting to watch as some of these quarterbacks just keep getting weeded out in the league. I think once we see these top-tier guys retire, we may see a shift in how the game is played. But, Greg, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go for today. I'm sure we will talk to you again very soon. Greg Schwartz, where can people find you on the social medias, my friend?
I am on Facebook at GNSCHW, and I'm on Twitter at 3G_media.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Greg. We will talk to you very soon, my friend.
Awesome. Take care.
Thank you. Greg Schwartz, one of our NFL correspondents. It's always good to have him on. He always has some great things to say. And you heard it here first on the Pick Six. You're right here on Brew Sports. The NFL may or may not be moving back to a run-first league, but I think we're a long ways away from that. What do you think?
Yeah, we still got some time, I think.
We still got some time.
Quarterbacks are going to lead this thing for a while, and you still got a lot of very good receivers. I mean, Julio Jones is not that old. I think that, Matt Ryan took a step forward, so you're still going to see that. I mean, passing it's more exciting. I don't
think it'll ever turn into more of a run-first league like it was back in the 70s, 80s,
right.
But we may see a balance of power, and it may make things a little more interesting and creative when it comes to building rosters when your league consists of a bunch of mediocre quarterbacks. So who knows? Maybe someday we'll be talking about how a guy like Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback. I don't know. Anyways, we're moving on to our next segment. Let's check and see. Let's take a look at some of our Facebook stuff here. Kevin says, "Look at you two goofs." Okay. That's ridiculous.
Thanks for watching, Kevin.
Unbelievable. Who backlit this guy? Don't ask. Kevin, as Kevin knows, James and I both went to the same school, so we both know Kevin very well. So he is going to be our biggest critic.
He taught us everything we know. So if it
doesn't look
good, it's his fault.
He'll take credit saying that he taught us everything that we know. Whether or not that's true, we will wait and see. But moving on to our next segment. I don't know if anybody else knows out there, but DeMarcus Ware decided to retire at, I believe, the age of 34. And he states he is concerned about his long-term health issues. But is DeMarcus Ware a first-ballot Hall of Famer? Because there are some people out there that think he is.
I don't think first ballot. I think you're definitely talking about, at one point, an elite pass rusher.
Mm-hmm. People talk a lot about T.O. and how they thought Terrell Owens was a first ballot Hall of Famer. What's funny is I'll have to grab it, but I have a box of T.O.'s as well that I'll have to bring on. But yeah, so Terrell Owens was once thought to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
For my money, T.O. is
and he got
should have been a
well. That's
first
what
ballot.
That's like
yes.
It's like be like a guy like Brett Favre getting snubbed as a first ballot. So is DeMarcus Ware a first ballot Hall of Famer? He could be. But it is, we'll have to wait and see. DeMarcus Ware, truly a threat on the field throughout his entire career. But he's retiring at the age of 34, which is, it's not old, but it's not young either. He could have played for a couple more years and made a couple more $1 million if he decided to. But he states his long-term health as a factor. And that is pretty interesting coming from one of the biggest threats in the NFL.
Well, you also have to take into account that he's not on any kind of a long-term contract, so it's kind of jumping around, jumping from team to team. Does he really want to keep doing that? And then, again, with all the concussion and the pain meds and all this stuff is now coming into play. I mean, you've got guys that are retiring earlier.
You got guys who are losing their minds out there.
Right.
Like 20 years down the road.
I mean, so if you're waking up with aches and pains and you're reading all this stuff about guys having trouble afterwards, you have to start to double think. Should I continue to do this?
You have to consider it.
Have I made enough money?
Well, I think that's where you really need to draw the line is, am I in a place where I can retire safely? And does he obviously you need to think about what you're going to do after you retire, but Did you use your money responsibly throughout your NFL career? And I think that may be where a lot of these older players decide to stay in the league and keep playing because they're like, I need to start building a savings account as opposed to blowing it all. But we see guys retire in different ways at different times in their career. He's 34, so he's not very young. But he is talking about his long-term health.
He also plays a pretty violent position.
Yeah, it's almost when I talk about players who could have left more out for the game. I look at John Elway, who retired after a Super Bowl win. He could have played more, and he might have been able to win another Super Bowl. But he decided to retire.
Is there a better way to go out?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a pretty. DeMarcus Ware's already got a Super Bowl. He doesn't need another one. You know what I mean? So he's done everything there is to do in the NFL. He's been a captain. He's won a Super Bowl. He's played on multiple teams. One in the South, one in the North. He is an all around threat to say the least. But I guess I'll lead into this here. There are some players out there that apparently don't love football, and I think maybe this can come into play in regards to the aging players in the league and whether or not they are risking their long-term health. But I believe it was Jordan Cameron.
Yeah.
Am I right by that? Jordan Cameron came out and said he does not think there are players out there, or he thinks there are players out there that don't love football, but they're still playing. And I will quote him here. Cameron told ESPN, "I don't think a lot of these guys love football, to be honest. A lot of them don't. You play for other reasons, and every guy has their own reasons. That they know why, and as long as your why is really important, you keep playing without really loving football, because really, who loves to get hit in 10-degree weather by a 280-pound person? Really, no one likes
Nobody.
that. Do you love football?" I couldn't stand when people asked me that. And it's funny to me because people always say, if you find something you love to do, you'll never have to work a day in your life. I love what I'm doing here. I still didn't want to wake up this morning. It was not easy for me to wake up this morning. Did I hate it? Absolutely. But I still came in, and I'm having fun. So, like, there are probably players out there that hit a long road trip or something, and they're like, this sucks. In any league. But what really is Jordan Cameron talking about here when he's saying a lot of us don't love football?
I mean, he hasn't won very much.
That's
so
true.
that.
He's been with Miami.
I mean, think about the punishment that you take, or that they take playing football.
I don't take a punishment here.
Yeah, exactly. The punishment that you watch.
That's right.
Imagine them taking that and losing. Losing is not fun. I think that if you're on a winning team, you definitely have maybe a different outlook.
Yes.
But then again, you take it back to guys in college who you've heard multiple times, they need to go pro for the money.
And a lot of people, I mean, the fans will complain here because they'll say, you're making millions of dollars, what do you care?
Right.
But these guys are doing what they've done best their entire life, and they're getting hurt day in and day out. It's not just on Sundays.
Right.
They're doing this 4 or 5 days straight before Sunday, and they're just beating their bodies senseless. Ryan,
I mean, money is awesome, but if you can't move around to spend it, who cares?
That's exactly it. I mean, you have to save your money for retirement, obviously, but some of these players, they get to a certain point and they're just like, it's not worth it anymore. I'll go back to a baseball team I worked for in northern Wisconsin. It was a summer collegiate wood bat league team called the Wisconsin Rapids Rafters. I'll throw a shout out there. But one of our players, he was a right fielder, and he had an absolute gun in right field, and he could chuck that ball to home plate like no other. Just on fire, and his hitting was pretty consistent too. So he was a good baseball player, and he played for Virginia, who had just won a national championship. And at the end of our season, he decided he didn't want to go back to play baseball. He was done. He wanted to just focus on school and be an accountant or something. I don't know. It doesn't sound very exciting. Baseball sounds a lot more fun than being an accountant. But that goes back to my point. At some point, you just don't love. I mean, you love the game,
right?
I don't believe that he just didn't love the game. But at some point, you have to say, you know what? It's just not worth it for me to play anymore.
I don't love the amount of work
that
has to go into it. It's not. They don't just get to show up.
The money's one thing. The money's one thing. But I think at a certain point, the players just once you have a ton of money, it doesn't matter anymore. You're just getting more bedrooms in your mansion. You know what I mean?
I mean, there definitely are players that do love the game. You see, I'd bet that most of the greats did love the game because they put in that extra work. But there's guys that just have the talent who are using this as their way to make money. It is a job. It's not.
It is a job. Yeah.
I think people forget that. We watch it for fun. We love, and we want to see them go out and what we think is have fun. But they're working.
They are working. And I think you bring up a good point when you say we watch it for fun. And what a lot of people don't think about is the criticism that some of these players get. And it may even be from players who aren't even all-stars on the team. So they may not even be with the team for much longer. Or maybe they're only on the team for one season. But they're still getting lashed at if the team loses.
Right.
On social media, I've heard of players' houses getting egged, racial slurs getting burned into lawns, all sorts of different things. some of these players, I can imagine they get fed up from time to time with certain things like this. So it is very frustrating. Let's take a look at Facebook here. Ryan says Tanner Montana. Okay. All right, Ryan. I see you. Baxter says, if you all don't know Baxter, of course he's commenting right now, a long-time fan of our show here, the Pick Six, but he says, if I was a team owner, I'd only want players on my team that actually loved the game and did not just go through the motions. Now, that's an interesting point, and of course Baxter has to put in his 2 cents on every show here on Bruce Sports, but that is a good point. Long-time fan, first-time caller. So I'd only want players on my team that actually love the game and did not just go through the motions.
So here's the thing: if you're the owner, how do you know that? I mean, if I'm a player,
if you're the owner, do you care? If you're the owner
ideally,
or
yes.
the fans, ideally, yes. In a perfect world, you'd like to come out and say, I want all of my players to love what they're doing.
Exactly.
And I want them to put it all out in the field
if
for
I'm
the
the
fans.
best receiver ever, and I don't love the game, you think I'm going to show up on draft day and say, I don't really love it?
You're not going to say it.
No, I'm going to tell you that I love this so I can get paid.
Exactly.
Which is the ultimate goal
but
if you don't love the game.
Does the owner care? I mean, obviously he's going to care. You want the players to want to play the game. But if you're the best receiver ever and you just don't like playing the game, you get drafted first overall, you're still going to be the best receiver ever even though you don't love the game. I guess that's up to the owners at that point to decide how to keep you in the game. But if a guy comes out of the draft and he doesn't necessarily love playing football, but he's phenomenal on the field, what does it matter? The fans won't care.
As long as he does his job.
Exactly. And I think we see that. You get the fluff on draft day and the combine and all that total BS from players who are like, oh, yeah, I'm just excited. I'm glad to play for the team. I remember when Jim Kelly got drafted, he went on the media and was like, oh, yeah, I'm just really thankful for the Buffalo Bills. And like 2 weeks later, he's like, I'm going to the USFL.
Right.
So, I mean, you see it all the time, but
here's the thing.
It's protocol.
If it was just about the love of the game, they would have stayed in college.
That's true. That's
no one's
very
coming
true.
out early.
That is a good point.
It's just about the love of the game.
Yes, we talked about on our lunch show, I think it was last week, about players coming out of college and whether or not they should stay in college or get graduate at least or whatnot, or what's a good age to leave. But for those of you watching, of course, thank you for tuning in. But we want you to comment. Our show is all about you derailing our topic of conversation. Comment and share. Tell all your friends. This is what makes us great. But you're watching Pick Six. You can find us on Twitter at BruceSportsNet. We have a YouTube channel where we archive all of our videos. Our website is www.brucesportsnet.com. Not brucesports.net. It's brucesportsnet.com. But yes, of course, please comment and share. James, I don't know if you know this, but it's March Madness. I know it's not football, but I'll at least bring it up.
Attention.
It is March Madness. We have a March Madness tournament right here on Bruce Sports, and it's free. So anybody that's watching, you can go to our Facebook page, find the link to our bracket on the bracket challenge, and it's free. The winner gets $100. First place gets $100. You might as well enter. Why not? You're already submitting brackets left and right anyways.
Right.
And second and third place get a Bruce Sports T-shirt, which I have one. We'll have to get you one today for coming on the show. But it is a it's a beautiful T-shirt. It fits nice for me. They found a size that fits me, which is amazing with my illustrious dad bod. But here it is right here. Look at that. I could get drafted. I don't necessarily love the game though.
Is that a T-shirt cannon?
This is our Bruce Sports T-shirt. So go on, find our ESPN bracket challenge or whatever it is. I don't know. Thank you, sir. It's great to have a floor director that can also produce
and also has a cannon.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Let's see. Tom says money is the controlling factor in the league. I think that's a good point. And if you have a player that's successful on the field, ultimately that will bring in more money, whether or not he loves playing the game. Jeff says, does living the game mean putting your future health in danger? How far is far enough to be considered living the game? That is, it's a good point. And you see that in players retiring early all the time. Marshawn Lynch, he had this major deal with Skittles, and he's like, you know what? I have a Super Bowl. I don't care.
Right. I'm good.
I'm going to go live my life now. I'm tired of, beating my body up. And there's other players that have that happen too. I see Brew Sports just posted our link to our NCAA bracket, so go ahead and click on that after the show or open up a separate tab. Don't leave us. We want you to stay here, of course, and fill out your bracket. And, you'll have a chance to win $100 or one of our beautiful T-shirts. And, lucky 15th place gets a date with myself. So take
I'll
that.
be shooting for 15th
Take that with a grain of salt. You have to pay for dinner, though.
Okay.
Let's see here. Greg says, better question. Why would you sign up to get your brain crushed if you didn't like to play the game? That is a good point. Greg Schwartz, of course, just talked to him a little bit. I love that he comes on immediately after and is joining the discussion in the comments section. It's great because he always has some good things to say. But yeah, he brings up a good point. Why would you like to sign up to get your brain crushed if you didn't like to play the game?
Some of these guys, one contract, are going to make more than I make in my lifetime. So yeah, if you can make it through your first contract,
why not?
You're smart about it.
You're more money than I'll ever make.
Yeah, I'd sign up.
You combined, yeah. That's a good point, though. I think I keep drawing the line today, but where do you draw the line in regards to concussions, injuries, and how much money you're making? It's almost like at some point these teams are paying you to go hurt yourself, especially in football.
It's a violent game. There's no getting around that.
You can have safety measures left and right, but it's still going to be violent.
At the end of the day, you're still crashing into another person at full speed.
You can't ultimately eliminate concussions without turning it into flag football.
Right.
So these players, going into it their entire life, they've gotten hurt their entire life. They know what they're getting into, but the money is ultimately, I think, the drawing factor. But yeah, it is a good point.
It's got to be a personal decision as far as drawing the line. But the money is a huge incentive. How can you not, if you're talented enough to play, how can you not at least consider it?
I agree. If I was talented enough to play, I'd take the veteran minimum for the next 10 years. I'd be quite okay with that.
2 years.
I would not complain about $500,000 every year. Let's talk about this for a second. Tony Romo, he's at the point of his career where maybe he decides to hang up the cleats. Maybe he's just done. He's had a bunch of injuries. He's had to go through the surgeries, which is another factor in some of these players. Maybe they're just tired of having surgeries.
Right.
But Tony Romo, he's way past his prime. We'll see if a team takes a chance on him, and I'm sure a team will, even if he's sitting on the bench. But he's going to be making a lot of money even if he's sitting on the bench. But a Sports Network came out and said that they have a job for Tony Romo as an analyst if he decides to retire today. What kind of proposition is that for a guy like Tony Romo? They're basically saying, if you want to pass up the couple $1 million to be a professional football player, you can come, make a couple bucks as an analyst with us. Come on over to our side, like everybody else who retires.
There's two ways to take it. One, they think I'm washed up and I need to prove that I'm not. Or two,
maybe I am washed up.
Maybe it's time, and this is my out.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a legitimate out for me. A new career path, something that I don't know if he's interested in or not, but to walk away from the game and still be involved with it, I don't know what better way to do it unless
you're still if you hate the game, maybe you don't go be an analyst.
Right.
But yeah, I'm assuming Tony Romo loves the game. He's been in the league long enough, and he certainly loves Jerry Jones. Maybe a little more than I would like to say. But yeah, so we'll see kind of what happens with that. I think it's smart on the media's part because they saw a possibility that he will retire, and they were like, everybody knows who Tony Romo is. Just like Tim Tebow, once he so-and-so retired after his phenomenal career in the NFL, he went straight to be a college football analyst. And, somebody in the media noticed this, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Like, let's be the first one to say, hey, we want you. And maybe he'll think about it.
For Romo, it's win-win.
You're not negotiating with his agent. You're just saying, hey, we'll hire you.
If you're Romo, whether you take the job or not, the seed's been planted that there's interest.
Yes, there is interest.
You can, if you want to play more, go play more. They'll be there.
Exactly.
I mean, this isn't a one-time either take it today or not. If he goes and plays 2 or 3 more years, they'll still be there.
They'll still be there.
Still have that.
They'll still be there. I think that's a good point. I do want to talk about this for a second. Of course, there's still some big free agents out there. That's pretty much all that's going on right now in the NFL. But Dont'a Hightower, former New England Patriot, maybe he ends up staying with the Patriots, maybe not, whatever. But he is looking around the league. He decided to meet with the Jets, and the Jets, in perfect New York Jet form, found the best way to kind of persuade him to play for New York. So the New York Jets took Dont'a Hightower out to dinner, and for his birthday, they gave him a cupcake. So
I believe the cupcake said happy birthday.
Jets lean on cupcakes for Dont'a Hightower. I think that's hilarious. I think it's great. Oh my gosh. So according to Adam Schefter, they sent his mother Jets merchandise. They brought him out to dinner last night and had cupcakes given to him on his birthday. It's like an old friend, that just doesn't go away. Schefter said on NFL Insiders they had "Happy Birthday Dont'a Hightower" on all the screens inside the Jets training facility.
So
that's embarrassing.
Were they with him on his birthday?
I guess.
Because if they're with him on his birthday, is it almost
that's
rude
too much?
To not give
I think.
Him?
Well, you got to give him something. Well, you don't like. I don't. It's like walking into a Fridays and having your mom's like, it's Dante's birthday. Don't tell him, but could you do something special? Knowing that they're gonna do something ridiculous, and everybody in the Jets facility comes out saying, "Happy birthday to Dont'a Hightower." And they put him on a saddle and a cowboy hat and give him a cupcake. The guns flaring. But yeah, it's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous to have "Happy Birthday Dont'a Hightower" on all the screens. Are there other players in the facility that are dude, I've been here my entire career. This guy comes in for a visit. Yeah. There's no way Hightower is signing with us. You realize that, right? There's no way. It's not going to happen. It's just
there's a guy in there that was
ridiculous.
Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh my gosh. It's insane. It's Jeff says, did Tanner get cupcakes last Friday? Jeff, I did not get cupcakes last Friday, but I did have a beautiful dinner, and my great friend and colleague Baxter and his wife Liz brought myself and Aaron a cookie cake, which is great because I actually do not like cake. I do not like cake. I do not like cupcakes, unless it's ice cream cake. That's just totally fine. Hate me for it. Hashtag Tanner hates America. He doesn't like cupcakes. But yes, so Walker on Facebook also says the New York Jets are the Florida of the NFL. It's where old players go to be rich and die. Oh, that is great. I don't have Walker on the show. That is so beautiful. That is phenomenal. It's where old players go to be rich and die. This is fun. Be sure to, we have about 10 minutes left on the show. Be sure to share with all your friends. Tell them to come in and join the discussion about whether or not the Jets made a ridiculous decision to basically praise Dont'a Hightower while other people are working out in the background. Oh, my gosh. It's like punters just back there like, man, I put it all out there on the field for this team. And Dont'a Hightower comes in from New England, the most hated team in the NFL. And for some reason, they just praise him. It's like a supermodel walks into a restaurant. You're sitting there eating in the corner table in the corner booth with your girlfriend. The supermodel walks up to you and says, "Hey, would you like to go grab a drink?" And you're like, "Yeah, why not? I don't need the punter. I'm gonna go have a drink with Dont'a Hightower at the water cooler." But yes. So I did not get cupcakes last Friday, unfortunately. But I did have more.
They're not courting you.
Yes, exactly. I'm already here. They're not courting me to come on Bruce Sports. I'm already on the show.
I don't get cupcakes.
Do you get cupcakes? Do you have? What do you like your birthday to be like?
Personal cupcakes would be nice.
Personal cupcakes?
But yeah, a dinner. Yeah, dinner works.
Do you like the simple cupcakes, like the vanilla with the white frosting and the sprinkles?
I want gourmet cupcakes.
Gourmet. See, I like that. It's great because obviously if you watch any of the halftime show, you know that we love craft beer on this network. We love craft beer, but there is a new thing out there called craft cupcakes. And they're everywhere. It's like art. They look so great that
Really?
you just don't even want to eat them.
Well, I know what I'll be doing after the show.
I know. There's a new place at the mall that's right next to like what's over there. It's right next to like Subway, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna eat healthy.
How have I not heard of these?
And then to the right is this beautiful like artistry cupcake place, and I'm like, I could just go over there and grab a pumpkin spice cupcake. Okay. Certainly going to be cheaper than whatever Subway's charging now for their stuff. But anyways, so I guess we could go into our next segment here. Our Pick Six are always our last segment on the show, the Pick Six. It's a fitting name for a fitting segment on our show, where we pick 6 things of whatever, of a certain topic. During the season, this will be our segment where we pick our 6 power rankings, our top 6 teams in the league. But today, since we are obviously in the offseason, there's a lot of free agency moves going on, a lot of players out there, the draft's coming up, so I thought it would be fitting to pick 6 current players who have not retired to be a part of your NFL franchise if you were starting one. Now, so each of us, you and I will both pick 3 or 4 players in draft style. And I will flip a coin to see who goes first, but I thought it would be neat because it forces you to think about players at this point in their career, where they're at. But I'll flip a coin. James, you get to go first. So I'll let you start here in our Pick 6 segment for who you would pick to start an NFL franchise if you had to today.
I'm going to go ahead and be a homer and go with Aaron Rodgers.
All right.
Gotta start with the quarterback.
Even at his age right now?
I think he's got good.
So you're trying to win now? Or at least in the next 5 years?
I mean,
that's fair.
Play to win the game.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Aaron Rodgers, that is a good way to start off. I'm going to go with a wild card here.
Okay.
Just because he had a phenomenal rookie season. I'm going to play the long run. I'm going to build around him, but my first pick is going to be Dak Prescott.
Okay.
He's going to be good. He is good, but you have to have the players around him to succeed. So I have at least years to play with him. So I could have gone the easy route and picked like Andrew Luck, but what has he done down in Indy? Absolutely nothing. So aside from grow a beard. Round 2 in the Pick 6. James' first overall pick was Aaron Rodgers. Yep. Who are you going to accompany Aaron Rodgers with on your franchise?
I think this is based solely off the catch in the Super Bowl. Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. Man, would that be exciting to watch. Aaron, can you imagine what Julio Jones would be like if he had Aaron Rodgers?
It's a dream.
I mean, it ultimately is the dream, right?
You don't need a running back anymore.
You don't.
I mean,
that's a good point. You thought about it. Look at that. You have your own Aaron Rodgers
there
right
he is.
there. He drafted Aaron Rodgers, and he got Aaron Rodgers. I should have drafted Doug Flutie at his current age, even though he's retired. But so you have Aaron Rodgers, and you went the wide receiver route in your second round. Okay. I'm going to go. I guess I should go on the offense as well. I guess I should. I'm going to go. Oh man, see, like I don't want to pick like an old guy. Let's see if anybody has any comments on Facebook. No, absolutely not. Tell me who to draft.
On your own.
Tell me who to draft. Baxter says Mason Crosby, Aaron Rodgers, and Julio Jones. Why Mason Crosby? Why Mason Crosby? Totally
points?
ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Okay. How about this? How about we pick? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to go my second overall pick. I have Dak Prescott. I feel like I'm already losing this draft.
You're scrambling at 2.
I know. I'm already losing the draft. He's got Aaron Rodgers and Julio Jones. I have Dak Prescott. I don't even want to make another pick.
Really considering that Dak Prescott pick.
Man, I really wanted Julio Jones. Yeah. That's okay though. I'm going to go with. How about Mike Evans? I'm going to go with Mike Evans.
Okay.
I like your picks better.
But
I'm going to go with Mike Evans because he was my wide receiver one on my fantasy team last year. And he did phenomenal. Well. I could have done like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown would have been a good one, but I like Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans is, big body.
Big body. Definitely staying away from Odell.
Yeah,
definitely staying away from Odell. Should we pick 2 defensive players?
That's where
we both have pass offenses.
Defense.
Cool, let's do this. We have a couple minutes. How about we both pick a running back? Who's your running back? Gosh darn it. See, I knew he was going to draft a running back in round 3. That's why I went with Dak.
I mean, I don't think you can. You have to go with Zeke.
You got to go with Zeke?
Yeah.
You're going to steal my running back away from me?
You gave me the pick. I mean,
unbelievable. All right, I'm going to go with Le'Veon Bell because he's patient
fair.
and consistent.
Assuming he can stay on the field.
Ouch. Making me feel so bad about my picks here today. Okay, let's pick a couple defensive players. So you have Aaron Rodgers, Julio Jones, and Ezekiel Elliott. Your team's looking like an all-star team right now. Mine's looking like the B League. But let's see.
You guys got heart though, right?
Yes. How do you build your defense now?
I probably start. That's tough.
It is tough. You got to focus on. Are you a pass rushing focused team, or are you a consistent?
I'm going to go with Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas. All right, locking down the backs. Okay, that's fair. See,
Someone's got to talk out there.
That's true. I am going to go in the opposite direction, and I'm going to pick a guy like, I'm going to go with Ndamukong Suh.
Okay.
You got to have some aggression on your team. Get at that quarterback, baby. Step on his leg. Give me Aaron Rodgers. So, I'm going to go with Ndamukong Suh because I think a pass rush defense makes all of your cornerbacks better.
Definitely.
If you can get at the quarterback and knock him down, and the quarterback can't get a good pass off, your defensive backs don't necessarily need to be that good.
Well,
it also works on the flip side. If your defensive backs are very good, you don't need an offensive line or defensive line to be very good. But yes, so I'm going to go with.
Well, our good friend Baxter just made my pick for me, and it's Von
Did
Miller.
he? Oh, come on! I knew I should have drafted him first. That's what I was going to do.
You got to get to the quarterback.
Von Miller was my next pick. I should have picked him first. Gosh darn it. Unbelievable.
If it's any consolation, I wasn't going to pick Sue.
Fine.
So.
In that case, Chad on Facebook picked my next pick. J.J. Watt, come over to my side.
Actually, read what it actually says.
How about a healthy J.J. Watt?
There we go.
I'll take him either way. My players are either going to be healthy or hurt, apparently, with the way my picks are going. I guess I'll pick. We want to pick one more before we go here.
We picking a kicker?
I guess. Should we? Should we pick a coach? No. Stay away from coaches. I don't want to talk coaches. I'm a Bills fan. I don't need to talk coaches. Let's pick a kicker.
Okay. You got to go with Seabass.
Yeah.
Sebastian Janikowski.
The beast.
Yeah, I mean.
Dude kicks so far. He could. I want to see him. I want to see if he could kick like a 70-yarder.
I feel like he could.
He could probably do it. I'm gonna be a homer. I'm gonna be a homer then, and welcome Stephen Hauschka to the Bills, and also to my terrible B League football team. Maybe Hauschka can save me.
I said kicker because I figured that would at least get you a bill.
That's right. It's at least gonna get me a bill. So on my team, I have Dak Prescott, Mike Evans, Le'Veon Bell, Ndamukong Suh, and J.J. Watt. It's not bad. And Stephen Hauschka. But yeah, it's not bad
at all.
We're going to compete, but we're going to compete at 9-7.
I'd take Aaron, Julio, and Zeke.
Yeah, I immediately regretted coming up with this topic for today because your picks are way better than mine. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you should just host halftime today.
I just built it like a Madden team.
Oh my gosh, that's what you got to do, though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you got to do. So I think James wins the pick 6 for today. He comes on the show for the first time and just blows me out of the water. But yes, Baxter says we need a Madden sim of these teams. Aaron says local boys can't go wrong with the Watt family. That's true. J.J. Watt in Wisconsin. So it's a homer right there. Anyways, so of course, be sure to comment, share, and all of our videos. Check out our website, BrewSportsNet.com. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at BrewSportsNet, #BrewSports. Be sure to follow us and like our pages, and tell all your friends, because if you do have friends, which I don't, be sure to tell them. Coming up next on Bruce Sports, Baxter Colburn and myself will be hosting the show Halftime, where I get to drink a beer for the first time of the day, which is beautiful and ridiculous. You can find all of our programs that we do here. You can also get in podcast form on iTunes and I believe Spreaker as well. And you can find all of our videos archived on YouTube. So if you want to go back and watch anything, you can find them on our Facebook page as well as YouTube. So be sure to comment and share. We really appreciate the fact that people come on and comment on our program. That's what makes us different than any other sports show out there. We get to share our days with you, and you get to help derail the program and train wreck that is any show that I'm on. So
the comments definitely
but
help.
You definitely drive our show. Patrick says James for the win. Absolutely. I want to thank everybody who commented. Jeff, Patrick, Bax, Walker, Chad.
I think Walker had the comment today.
Tom, of course. My dad says great show, guys. I'm pretty sure I could come on and just have the worst show ever. I could be eating a bowl of
That's what dads do.
eating a bowl of day-old chili that got left out overnight. My dad would be like, great job. Well done. That's my boy. Walker, Chris, we had a lot of new people on the come on and comment today. It's pretty great. Other Tom, a lot of people. Kevin, Ryan, Marisa, who's probably still watching. Hopefully I redeemed myself there, but so thank you all for tuning in today. Be sure to check out all of our forms of social media. James, what did you think of your first show today?
I had a blast, man.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
I enjoyed.
I can't do this by myself. Believe me, I'm sweating out here as it is. Freaking out, man. So check out all of our forms of social media. James, do you have any social media platforms that people can find you at?
Twitter, it's J Stew Jr.
J Stew Jr.
Yes.
James Stewart, you heard it from himself here first. Thanks again to Greg Schwartz for coming on today. Tune in an hour for halftime from 11 to 12 Central Time. Until next Tuesday, he's James Stewart. I'm Tanner Burke. You have been watching the Pick Six.